For millions of years, the ocean has echoed with the voices of giants. Blue whales, the largest animals to ever live, singing across thousands of miles, using sound to find each other, feed, and survive. But lately, something strange has been happening. The ocean is growing quiet. Not by accident, not by nature, and not just for the whales. What you're about to hear is the story of a warning we ignored, a decision we once made, and the silence that's coming for all of us if we don't listen now. This isn't just about whales, it's about us. Because when the whales go quiet, it's not the end of a song, it's the beginning of a collapse. But first, we need to go back to when the warnings began. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, blue whales were still vocalizing in full force. Their low-frequency songs, some of the deepest ever recorded, rippled across the Pacific like ancient prayers. At the same time, krill, the tiny crustaceans that whales rely on for survival, were plentiful. Plankton blooms fed the krill fed the whales, and the whales filled the sea with sound. It was a fragile harmony, and it was already under threat. Above the surface, a different kind of signal was building. In 2006, former Vice President Al Gore released an Inconvenient Truth, a wake-up call to the world about global warming. He warned of rising seas, melting ice, and disrupted ecosystems. But while the film was winning Oscars, fossil fuel giants were investing millions into denial, and lawmakers were still afraid to say what science already knew, that humans were changing the climate permanently. Beneath the waves, the whales kept singing, but something was already shifting in the deep. The krill were watching the temperature, and they were getting nervous. By the late 2000s, the warnings were harder to ignore. The Arctic was melting. Heat waves were no longer once in a century, and ocean temperatures were spiking in ways scientists hadn't seen before. In the Pacific, warm water was stacking up. Krill populations were thinning. The ocean's food chain was wobbling, and still, the whales kept singing, just slightly lower, just slightly less. Then, something rare happened. In 2007, a Supreme Court case, Massachusetts versus EPA, forced the US government to confront what scientists already knew, that carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases weren't just changing the weather. They were putting human health and survival at risk. 2 years later, under the Obama administration, the EPA issued the Endangerment finding, a legal declaration that greenhouse gases are a threat to human well-being. Around the world, the scientific consensus had been building since the early 90s, but the Endangerment finding was the first time the United States officially recognized the threat and admitted we were part of the cause. Not just as a theory, but as a danger written into law. This gave the federal government the power and the responsibility to regulate emissions from vehicles, power plants, and major industries. It was a turning point, a decision based on science, a signal to the world that we were ready to act. But in the water, the signals were already going the other way. Fast forward to today. Off the coast of California, researchers have recorded a 40% drop in blue whale vocalizations over just 6 years. The songs are fading, not because the whales have nothing to say, but because they don't have the strength to say it. Rising ocean temperatures have triggered a chain reaction. First came the blob, a massive marine heat wave that disrupted plankton blooms. No plankton means no krill. No krill means no food for the whales. The giants of the ocean are now struggling to survive. To understand just how much blue whales rely on krill, you have to see how they eat. Blue whales are lunge feeders, a highly specialized and energy-intensive method of capturing their primary food source, krill. This incredible process begins with the whale accelerating to high speeds, then opening its enormous mouth to engulf vast quantities of water, along with the dense swarms of krill within it. Their unique throat pleats, which can expand like an accordion, allow their mouths to balloon outwards, accommodating a volume of water greater than their own body mass. Once the water and krill are inside, the whale then expels the water through its baleen plates, which act like a giant sieve, trapping the tiny crustaceans. This filter feeding technique is remarkably efficient, but demands colossal amounts of krill to sustain the largest animal on Earth. A single lunge can net hundreds of thousands of krill, but a blue whale needs to consume up to 4 tons of these tiny organisms daily to meet its energetic needs. This immense dietary requirement underscores their dependence on healthy, abundant krill populations. Any disruption to these krill swarms, whether from warming ocean waters or other environmental changes, directly impacts the blue whale's ability to feed and, consequently, its survival. But when the krill vanish, the whole feeding system breaks down, and with it, the strength to migrate, to feed, to raise young, to sing. And even if they could find the energy to call, would anyone hear them? In many parts of the ocean, human noise now drowns out the songs of whales, with shipping lanes, sonar, oil rigs, and underwater mining filling the deep with static. But what we're seeing now goes beyond that. This isn't just interference, it's collapse. Meanwhile, above the surface, something else is vanishing. The legal foundation that once recognized climate change as real and human-caused, the endangerment finding. In 2025, the Trump administration moved to repeal the endangerment finding, dismantling the EPA's power to regulate emissions. They claim the science is uncertain. They say it's overreach. They want to silence the policy, the same way the ocean is going silent below them. If the endangerment finding is destroyed, there will be nothing left on paper saying this crisis even exists. We're standing at a crossroads. If the ocean loses its voice, what happens to ours? Imagine a world where the largest singers on Earth are silenced. No more whale songs to haunt the depths. No more beckon of krill-rich waters. Just empty blue turning empty brown. That's the future we're headed toward. Unless we act, there is something you can do right now. Head over to regulations.gov and search for Docket EPA HQ OAR 2025-0194. I'll put a link in the description. Submit a public comment telling the EPA, don't erase the endangerment finding. It's your chance to make your voice heard while the rule is in public review. Also, if you aren't already doing so, consider supporting one of the organizations fighting to save our seas and climate. Ocean Conservancy, 350.org, or the Nature Conservancy, just to name a few. Every click, comment, donation, or pledge matters. These groups aren't just raising awareness, they're holding power to account. We need more of that, especially in our leaders. But sadly, it's disappearing, just like the krill. They'd like us to go quiet, to forget the endangerment finding, to let the whales fall silent, unheard. But that silence isn't natural. It's manufactured, a failure to act. Here's the truth. When the whales stop singing, it's just the first stone of an avalanche. Everything in this world is connected to everything else. We rise and we fall together. Don't let the ocean's last song be the one we didn't hear. This is your microphone. Use it for them, for the future.